Hey guys, Dr. Kori here. Hope everyone is having an awesome day. Wanted to give you a bit more information about binge eating and about emotional eating. And in particular, wanted to talk to you about two very common misconceptions about both. Okay, so here we go. 1, binge eating is not always about negative emotion, okay, and the avoidance of it. Can it be? Of course, yes. It can be a very ineffective method of avoiding discomfort. However, the most significant cause of binge eating is severe food restriction, guys. And individuals who diet in inappropriate ways are the ones who most often struggle with binge eating, okay? Your brain and your body in a circumstance of severe deprivation are prompted to take care of you and really focus on your survival, all right? So they're going to prompt feeding behavior. Get it in my belly, okay? Your brain needs glucose, and we know that we need food to live. So in a situation of severe deprivation, okay, binge eating is likely to ensue. Now, binge eating becomes dysfunctional when it becomes habitual. It's not necessarily bad to be severely food restricted and then to eat a lot of food once or twice. That's not dysfunctional. That's your brain and body taking care of you. When it becomes habitual is when you're really going to struggle because you're not severely food restricted, and when you're eating well within what's appropriate for your body. And those normal limits are going to vary from person to person. Now, when it becomes an ineffective way of coping, okay, that's another area that is really going to limit you, to put it lightly. So there's severe food restriction, and then there's when it becomes habitual and it's being used as a coping method, but it's a very ineffective one, all right? So there's that, and I could talk all day long about those two things on that subject alone, but we're going to get into it on a deeper, broader level in my 30-day breakthrough program. Now, the second misconception is this. Not all emotional eating, guys, is bad. Not all emotional eating is dysfunctional. Many people eat emotionally. In fact, all of us do. Think of birthdays, think of holidays, think of special occasions and get-togethers, okay? We are actually all eating emotionally in those situations. As an example, I love my meals. I love my food, okay? I don't eat anything I don't like. There's no reason I should, because there's so much awesome, wholesome, amazing tasting healthy foods out there. So I love my meals. I get excited when I sit down to eat my meals. I am eating emotionally, okay? When I eat, it is certainly an emotional experience. Now, when we use food as a crutch, okay, to not feel or to avoid a feeling, or to distract ourselves from something that has become uncomfortable, or to distract ourselves from something that we may need to put our attention toward, the emotional part of eating becomes dysfunctional, all right? Now, there's a book that many of you have probably read. I know that a lot of individuals who come to me who are struggling with binge or emotional eating have found this book. It's called Brain Over Binge. And I've been asked if I agree with a lot of the things in that book. And I have to say that some I absolutely do. Now, if you're familiar with the book, the main premise is that if you don't have an urge to binge, then you wouldn't binge, all right? Okay, that makes sense. Most people don't understand what urges are, though. And I'm going to tell you, an urge is a thought, all right? So here's how I look at it. A thought is a brain burp. Blech. Okay? A thought is a string of words that pops into your mind. And we have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of them all day long. Only some of them are we snagged by or even recognize that they're up there, though. Okay? And they're typically the ones that are perceived as threatening. But if you think about it, what do we do when we burp? Well, if we're even semi-socially intelligent, we will say, "Excuse me," and we'll move on. All right? We let it go, and we don't give it a second thought. Well, we can look at thoughts about food or binging in really the same way. But it takes a bit more practice and effort in those cases because the act of binging, let me say this, the thought about binging has typically been followed by the act of actually binging, and now the thought has been, now it's been connected with a whole host of hormones, okay, that are involved that make the urge, the thought, that much more complex, that much more complicated. So it takes a new level of practice to not follow that thought and not allow that thought to be a directive. Now it's just information, it's data that we have to learn how to respond to in a different way, right? Thanks, guys.